Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Neeru Tandon, Head Department of English, VSST College, Kanpur. We are discussing paper on linguistics, and in this module number 27, Semantics of Words and Sentences, has been written by me. In this module, what I am going to discuss is the words and sentences and how those words and sentences constitute the language, how the meaning of those words and sentences being communicated, what is the meaning of semantics, and how semantic of word is different from semantic of sentences. Language may be divided into its components of phonology, morphology, syntax and semantics. First, the number of phonemes and their allophones and the suprasegmental features are determined, and then the morphemes and their organization into words are identified. The next step is to analyze the structure of sentence and find out how words are organized into phrases, phrases into clauses, and clauses into sentences. Then language is ready for communication. Then we just use the language in the proper sense, and there comes the study of the language through linguistics, which is a scientific study of that particular language. Actually, linguistics is said to be a study of languages, not a particular language, but we can apply it on a particular language also. It is said that language without meaning is meaningless. Yes, of course. If we cannot communicate anything, if we cannot understand any meaning, then what is the meaning? What is the use of that particular language? So semantics is the study of the meaning in language. That's why semantic is the most important thing. The term is taken from the Greek word semi, meaning sign. The word meaning can be defined in many ways, but the definition most pertinent to linguistics and the one we will use is that meaning is the function of sign in language, unquote. This understanding of meaning corresponds to German philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein's definition, who said the meaning of a word is its use in the language. In other words, the role a word plays in the language, unquote. The term semantics was only invented in the 19th century, but the subject of meaning has interested philosophers for thousands of years. The Greek philosophers were the first people known to have debated the nature of meaning. They held two opposite views on the subject. When we say symbols and semantics, symbols, they carry forward meaning to semantic, and semantics comes from the Greek. We all know that semantikos, which means to show or give signs. While dealing with the meaning, we must understand natural language versus artificial language. Semantics, as it is the study of the meaning of linguistic expressions, the language can be a natural language such as English or an artificial language, like a computer programming language. Linguists mainly study meaning in natural languages. In fact, semantics is one of the main branches of contemporary linguistics. Theoretical computer scientists and logicians think about critical languages. In some areas of computer science, these divisions are crossed. In machine translation, for instance, computer scientists may want to relate natural language text to abstract representations of their meanings. To do this, they have to design artificial languages for representing meanings. There are strong connections to philosophy. Earlier in this century, philosophers did much work in semantics, and some important work is still being done by philosophers. Since sentences can be either true or false, the meanings of sentences usually involve the truth values true and false. You can make up artificial languages for talking about these objects. Some semanticists claim that these languages can be used to capture inner cognitive representations. Though truth values may seem artificial as components of meanings, they are very handy in talking about the meaning of things like negation. The semantic rule for negative sentences says that their meanings are like that of the corresponding positive sentences, except that the truth value is switched, false for true and true for false. It isn't raining is true if it is raining is false, and false if it is raining is true. This interest in valid reasoning provides a strong connection to work in the semantics of artificial languages, since these languages are usually designed with some reasoning task in mind. Logical languages are designed to model theoretical reasoning such as mathematical proofs, while computer languages are intended to model a variety of general and special purpose reasoning tasks. Validity is useful in working with proofs because it gives us a criteria for correctness. It is useful in much the same way with computer programs, where it can sometimes be used to either prove a program correct or to discover flaws in the program. We were talking about meaning because semantics is the study of meaning. There are various types of meanings. Meaning has been a topic of interest for linguists as well as philosophers and conversation analysts. The term meaning can refer to several things, so it is important to note its implications in language sciences. In linguistics, the term meaning can refer to implication, entailment, intention, etc. And it is arbitrary, that is to say that there may not be an explanation for why a certain entity has got a certain name. Meaning can be of several kinds, such as denotative meaning, connotative meaning, literal meaning, figurative meaning, and idiomatic meaning. The denotative meaning is the explicit or surface meaning, whereas the connotative meaning refers to the extended meaning that may be figurative or idiomatic. So somewhere you can see that these all different areas are just interlinked with one or the other kind. When we talk about figurative or literal meaning, we know that the figurative meaning is somewhat different from the literal meaning. The literal meaning of the individual words in a figurative language use may indicate some concepts, but the overall interpretation requires additional links with entities not available in the lexical contents. Additionally, the term meaning can also refer to the dictionary meaning and encyclopedic meaning. The dictionary meaning usually refers to the lexical meaning that the users may find in a dictionary. This meaning is often short and depends on the speakers for exactness. In contrast, the encyclopedic meaning covers all the information available about the word. It is important to note that the site for storing, access, and recall of all kinds of meaning is the mental lexicon. Mental lexicon is an abstract entity assumed to be present in the minds of the speakers. I just give you an example. Anyone who speaks a language has a truly amazing capacity to reason about the meanings of text. For example, the sentence, "I can't untie that knot with one hand." Even though you have probably never seen this sentence, you can easily see things like the following. The sentence is about the abilities of the speaker or the writer. It is also about a knot, K-N-O-T, knot, tying. Maybe one that the speaker is pointing at. The sentence denies that the speaker has a certain ability. Can't. Untying is a way of making something not tied. So the sentence doesn't mean that the knot has one hand. It has to do with how many hands are used to do the untying. So in a way it's a different sentence when it says I, that the speaker, can't, that shows the inability, untie that knot with one hand. He is not saying he cannot untie, but he is specifying that cannot do with one hand. Now, arrangements of meanings, that is something very important in contemporary semantics. Linguists who study semantics look for general rules that bring out the relationship between form, which is the observed arrangement of words in sentences, and meaning. This is interesting and challenging because these relationships are so complex. This idea that meaningful units combine systematically to form larger meaningful units and understanding sentences is a way of working out these combinations. It has probably been the most important theme in contemporary semantics. The meaning of a sentence is not just an unordered heap of the meanings of its words. If that were true, then cowboy ride horses and horses ride cowboys would mean the same. But it's not so. When we say cowboy ride horses, we can understand the meaning. When we say horses ride cowboys, we fail to understand. So we need to think about arrangements of words in a proper sentence. Just words are not sufficient. So the sentence that we were talking, let's take that very example to discuss the arrangements of the word also. Here is an arrangement that seems to bring out the relationship of the meaning in sentence. That is, now see in the brackets, able, make, not, tied, that not with one hand. So the unit make, not, tied here corresponds to the act of untying. It contains a subunit corresponding to the state of being untied. Larger units correspond to the act of untying that knot and the act to untie that knot with one hand. This act combines with able to, then it makes a larger unit corresponding to the state of being able to untie that knot with one hand. This unit combines with I to make the thought that I have this state. That is the thought that I am able to untie that knot with one hand. Finally, this combines with not and we get the denial of that thought. So a semantic rule for English might say that a simple sentence involving the word can't always corresponds to a meaning arrangement like not able, but never to one like able not. For instance, I can't dance means that I am unable to dance. It doesn't mean that I am able not to dance. They are two different things. As the study of meaning of the linguistics expressions, semantic is conveniently divided into two types. One is lexical semantics and the second is sentential semantics. As you can see in this particular chart, lexical semantics and sentential semantics are just explained through various blocks. When we talk about lexical semantics, we have lexical relations and meaning relations, and various forms are there that we'll discuss in the next slides. Lexical semantics. Semantics, which is the study of linguistic meaning of morphemes, words, phrases, and sentences, it tells us about lexical semantics, which is subfield of semantics and which is concerned with the meaning of words and the meaning relationships among words. The meaning of a phrase or sentence is partially a function of the meaning of the words. It contains, similarly, the meaning of morphological complex words is a function of their component morphemes. However, there is a fundamental difference between word meaning or lexical semantics and sentence meaning. The meaning of entries in the mental lexicon, be they morphemes, words, compound, idioms, and so on, it's different. Lexical semantics could be defined as the study of the word meaning, but in practice, it is often more specifically concerned with the study of the lexical, that is the content, word meaning, as opposed to the meanings of the grammatical words. This means that lexical semanticists are more interested in the open classes of noun, verb, and adjective, and with more contentful members of the adverb and preposition classes. Lexical semantics is thus mostly exempt from considering issues that arise from the use of grammatical words such as definiteness and modality. The sounds and meanings of morphemes and words, each of us knows the meaning of thousands of words. This knowledge permits us to use words to express our thoughts and to understand the thoughts of others. The meaning of words, that is a part of the linguistic knowledge. Mental storehouse of information about words, about morphemes, is what we have been calling the lexicon. Lexical semantics, or the semantics of words, that is the other sentence, other words we can call it, Recently, there has been more interest in lexical semantics, that is, in the semantics of words. It deals with the language's lexicon or the collection of words in a language. It is concerned with individual words, unlike compositional semantics, which is concerned with meaning of sentences. Lexical semantics focuses on meanings in isolation, that is, without attention to their contribution to reference or truth conditions. Lexical semantics is not so much a matter of trying to write an ideal dictionary. Rather, lexical semantics is concerned with systematic relations in the meanings of words and in recurring patterns among different meanings of the same word. It is no accident, for instance, that you can say, Sam ate a grape. Sam ate. The former saying what Sam ate and the later merely saying that Sam ate something. What he ate is not important. The nature of lexical semantics has changed markedly in the 20 to 30 years since classic texts like Loynes and Crews were published. Such texts were written of a time when structuralist lexical semantics essentially carried on separately from major generative theories of grammar. During and since the 1980s, however, theories of grammar have become much more lexically driven, necessitating much deeper attention to issues of lexical meaning. Unfortunately, there is a tendency in lexical semantics courses and in semantics textbook to present lexical semantics essentially, as it was 30 years ago, with the focus limited to polysemy or homonymy and the name relations, that is synonym and antonym, etc. Phrasal or sentential semantics is concerned with the meaning of syntactic units larger than the word. Pragmatics is the study of how context and situation affect meaning. The meaning of most sentences must be constructed by the application of semantic rules, although the agreed upon meaning of a word may shift over time within a language community, like the word nice. We are not free as individuals to change the meanings of words at will. If we did, we would be unable to communicate with each other. All the speakers of a language share a basic vocabulary. If we keep on changing on our own will, then what will happen? Suppose, to me, a dog means horse. To you, a dog means a goat. Then what will happen? We won't be able to communicate what we want. So this way, we share a common vocabulary that means common meanings. Semantics of sentences. To assign meanings to the sentences of a language, you need to know what they are. It is the job of another area of linguistics called syntax to answer this question by providing rules that show how sentences and other expressions are built up out of smaller parts and eventually out of words. The meaning of a sentence depends not only on the words it contains, but on its syntactic makeup, the sentence. For example, the sentence that can hurt you, for instance, is ambiguous. It has two distinct meanings. In first, you can say that can be taken as a subject and can is its auxiliary verb, meaning able. And in the other, that can is the subject and can is a noun indicating a sort of container. That can hurt you means that particular thing can hurt you, is able to hurt you. But if I say that can hurt you, because the meaning of a sentence depends so closely on its syntactic structure, linguists have given a lot of thoughts to the relations between syntactic structure and meaning. In fact, evidence about ambiguity is one way of testing ideas about syntactic structures. There is another conceptual meaning. Conceptual meaning covers those basic essential components of meaning that are conveyed by the literal use of a word. It is the type of meaning that dictionaries are designed to describe. Some of the basic components of a word like needle in English might include thin, sharp steel instrument. And we all decode it by that. Then there is associative meaning. It is a type of meaning that people might connect with the use of the words. The associative meaning of an expression has to do with individual mental understanding of the speaker. Different people might have different association or connotations attached to a word like needle. They might associate it with pain, illness, or blood, or drugs, or thread, or knitting, or hard to find, etc. And these associations may differ from one person to the next. These types of associations are not treated as part of the word's conceptual meaning. Semantics probably won't help you find out the meaning of a word you don't understand, though it does have a lot to say about the patterns of meaningfulness that you find in words. It certainly can't help you understand the meaning of one of these Shakespeare's sonnets, since poetic meaning is so different from literal meaning. But as we learn more about semantics, we are finding out a lot about how the words languages match forms to meaning. And in doing that, we are learning a lot about ourselves and how we think, as well as acquiring knowledge that is useful in many different fields and applications. As the understanding of semantics is essential to the study of language acquisition, how language users acquire a sense of meaning as speakers and writers, listeners and readers, and of language change, how meanings alter over time, it is important for understanding language in social context, as these are likely to affect meaning, and for understanding varieties of English and effects of style. It is thus one of the most fundamental concepts in linguistics. The study of semantics includes the study of how meaning is constructed, how meaning is interpreted, how meaning is clarified, obscured, illustrated, simplified, negotiated, contradicted, and paraphrased. In general, however, semantics generally refers to how meaning is conveyed through the symbols of a written language. Semantics is the study of the meaning of a language. How meaning affects word association in language. Do you know that? No. If not, then just listen carefully. The purely linguistic side of meaning is equally evident when examining how words combine with one another to produce phrases. The set of restrictions on how a word may combine with other words of a single syntactic category is referred to as the word's colloquiability. Two words may have the same referent and yet differ in their ability to combine with particular words. In English, the word flock, F-L-O-C-K, it collocates with sheep, a flock of sheep, and school with fish. Then, although both flock and school mean group, but they cannot be applied vice versa. Also, adage combines only with brains or eggs. One must steam rice and boil water. Blonde collocates with hair, while red may collocate with hair as well as other so many objects. So that shows that every language has its own pattern of languages. Suppose in Hindi, if I say, na nauman tel hoga, na radha nachegi. The person who understands the context, the person who understands not only the language but its connotations, its phrases, can interpret it in the right way. But person of other languages who are learning Hindi, or if they know some words also, if they are unaware of the context, they may just represent it as na nauman tel hoga, means if the oil is not there, the required oil is not there, then Radha will not dance. That what is the meaning of it? He will not be able to understand, because without context, words cannot convey meaning in the right sense. So that's why it is important and it is essential to refer to the semantics of words as well as semantics of sentences as well. There is a relationship between words, and that relationship is the semantic relationship. that is known also as sense relations. All words in a language may not be discrete. They may show some kind of relationship at the level of meaning. These relationships are known as sense relations. Modern studies of semantics, they are interested in meaning primarily in terms of word and sentence relationship. Let's see some more semantic relationship between words. Those are synonymy, antonymy, polysemy, homonymy and meronymy. If you want to know more about it, please consult the previous modules already discussed all these terms. One more thing that I will like to discuss along with all these things is taxonomy. What is taxonomy? You can see with this example that on the root or the above surface it is vegetable. Vegetable has been divided into greens, pulses, roots, tubers, and then greens is the cabbage or the spinach, pulses are the peas and the beans, roots are the carrots and the trumps. So in this way, this is the relationship between vegetable and the pea is through pulses. Vegetable and the cabbage is through greens. That is the example of the taxonomy. Do you know who are the philologists? Philologists are the people who study language as well as anything created with language. They often make a distinction between meaning and concept. It is possible to know the meaning of the word without knowing everything about the concept referred to by that meaning. For example, one can know the meaning of a word like diamond without knowing the chemical composition of the stone or that carbon and pencil lead are. I know this is diamond, but I cannot tell you what are the composition of these diamonds are, or what are the chemical things added in it, what are the various other names of it. I know that this is diamond, that's it. So chemically speaking, composed of the same substance, we are not aware of. Noting how semantics is based on extra-linguistic categories, a group of linguists, including the Polish-born Australian linguist Anna, they have tried to reduce all meanings in language to a set of universal core concepts, such as tall, short, male, female, etc. These finite sets of concepts are then used universally to describe the meanings of all words in all languages. This semantic approach to language structure has various problems, which are as follows: to decide which concepts are basic and which are derived, how to distinguish between sense and reference. Meaning is more than simply a reflection of real word categories. Is it true or not? To sum up, we can say that when we deal with semantics of words and sentences, we understand very well that semantics deal with meanings, and meanings of the words, meanings of the sentences are essential to understand, and because of this it is one of the most important part of linguistics, because linguistics is the scientific study of language, and the main aim of language is to communicate. If we don't understand the meaning, if we don't understand the meaning of the words and the sentence in a proper sense with context, then we won't be able to convey the right sense. So meaning, semantics of words and semantics of sentence are more important. Both are very, very important, but there are certain differences also. Like words are synonyms, sentences are paraphrases. Words can be homonyms, sentences may be ambiguous. Words have opposites, sentences can be negated. Words are used for naming purposes, sentences can be used that way too. So both words and sentences can be used to refer to or point out objects, and both may have some further meaning beyond this referring capacity or capability. So let us consider these words, let us consider these sentences in a proper way to understand, and just study semantics to understand it, understand the linguistics in the real sense. Thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala.